for the KCTCS. The time is 11 o'clock or 11:01. Shannon, you being our parliamentarian, do you want to call the row, or Chelsea? Whichever one, I'm sorry.
Sure, I'll do it. Chair Martin,
Here.
Vice Chair Hamilton,
Here.
Secretary Witten.
Here.
Regent Finance term has ended, but we do not have an updated appointment. Regent Green. Regent Guerra Gomez.
Here.
Regent Wabinowitz. Okay, 4 members are present, so we do have a quorum.
Okay, and I would like to introduce Lauren. Okay, is it Hayes or Gomez?
It's Guerra Gomez. I haven't updated it on Teams yet.
Okay, so welcome aboard. She is one of our new student regents, and also we have another student regent, Audra Schaus, and Lauren has been appointed to be on the Policy and Planning Committee. So we want to welcome you. Thank you very much for your interest and your attending.
Thank you.
So the next agenda item is we need to approve the minutes from our last meeting, which was July 16th. Are there any corrections or amendments to the minutes? If not, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Marty made a motion.
Oh,
We
Okay.
need a
Marty.
motion.
Okay.
Marty is not on the committee. It needs to come from a member of the committee.
I'm sorry,
So,
Marty, I made the same mistake. Twice in a week that I've made that mistake. Do I hear a motion from one of our members? Brianna,
yeah.
second? Keith?
Second.
Okay. You wanna get the votes,
We-
Chelsea?
We can do this by consensus. Are there any objections? Motion passes.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so the draft of the September agenda is loaded onto Onboard. I'd like to ask our board liaison, Shannon, to walk us through the agenda and
Okay.
have any discussion.
So prior to the board meeting, I think we're going to try to schedule the new member orientation that morning from 8:30 to 10:30. So Regent Sutherland and Regent Guerra Gomez, if you could just hold that time on your calendar, it's required by law. We have to do that. So we will do kind of the new member orientation with 2 new students, the faculty, and the new staff regent we will be electing on the 10th of September. Moving on, they're going to do a optional tour at 10:30 at Henderson, which is the campus we will be on for this board meeting. And then the actual board meeting will start at noon at Henderson Community College. We will start with the call to order, roll call. We'll do the open comment period. So far, we've not had anyone reach out about that. Approval of minutes, and then Dr. Warren will give a presentation on Henderson Community College. Then we will have the chair report from Chair Martin, the president's report from Dr. Quarles, and then we will move into increase organization success with an update on the SJR 179 work team progress. We'll then move into an update by CFO Todd Kilburn on the state examination. An update on the forensic audit will then take place. I believe the forensic auditors will be available for questions. Then we'll move into an update by Audit Committee Chair Russ Cox on the upcoming Audit Committee meeting. And then CFO Todd Kilburn will ask for action on the internal audit plan for fiscal year 24-25. We will then have an update on the other post-employment benefit trust by CFO Todd Kilburn. And then we will have an action ratification of the OPEB Trust Administrative Committee decisions, and that will be presented by CFO Todd Kilburn and Vice President of Human Resources, Bridget Canner. Then we will have another action item here with the ratification of personnel actions. And then we will have a presentation, an update presentation by the Fire Commission. After that, we will move into executive session and then adjournment. So that's the first day.
Sounds like a busy day.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
The second day, we will be starting at 9 a.m. Central Time. We will start again with call to order and roll call. We will continue on and increase organization success. Our CFO, Todd Gilburn, will provide an update on our financial report. And then we will have an action item around capital construction projects, also presented by Todd Gilburn. Then we will move into increased learner success. As we normally do, we have an action item for the ratification of the KCTCS college's candidates for credentials. We'll have an update on certificate and program approvals by Dr. Neal and Dr. Wagner. An update on credential suspensions, Dr. Neal and Dr. Wagner. And then an update on the KCTCS online learning assessment plan. And an update on our enrollment report. And then this one, an update on the 22 through 26 strategic plan annual. This is the annual update. It will be Dr. Neal, Dr. Wagner, and Alicia Crouch. Then, in response to some Regent questions at a couple of meetings over this past year, we're going to do an update on tracking graduate employment, and that will be Dr. Neal, Dr. Wagner, and Alicia Crouch. Then we will have an update on artificial intelligence and an update on the KCTCS online learning website. Then we move into increase employment success. We will have an update on the employer asset data and employer engagement teams, education first employers, an update on trains utilization, going pro, the NSF grant update, and then we will have an update on philanthropy from Dr. Stith. The next meeting will be announced for December 5th and 6th, and then we will adjourn.
Do we have on the agenda for us to consider just having one policy and planning meeting before the board? We talked about that
Yes.
at our last meeting.
The intent of which is to have one meeting prior to the future meetings. That way it's not multiple meetings. Is that correct? Leading up-
So we
yeah.
can maybe have this meeting the month before
Right.
the board meeting. So everything is kind of fresh and we're just not maybe rehashing.
Yep.
There would
and-
need to be a change to the bylaws. So that's something we can do. We just have to change the bylaws to do that because it's very specific when this committee meets right
Okay.
now.
Well, and I figured we'd have to take it in front of the board so they could approve it or we can make a recommendation to the board and they move it and then we do whatever we need to do. Do we
Chelsea, what's-
agree? Do we agree from this committee's perspective? Is there a need for us to have two of these meetings before each board meeting or? Yeah, Brianna.
Thanks, Chair Martin. Chelsea, maybe you could kind of maybe add some context to that because I think I did ask Shannon that very same question. Like, I was like,
Yeah.
do we need this much? But is there some context for the reason for why I mean, I know that why it exists the way it currently does.
So I don't know that historically when that decision was made, it is in the bylaws. Part of the reason is because there is a set schedule. And so if there's a set schedule, then the meetings aren't special call meetings and we have more flexibility to adjust the agenda if we need to. If things come up, we can address them. And so having a set schedule was part of the reason. The policy and planning is very specific. It talks about being on a third Thursday. The audit committee is a little bit looser. It's just the month before, I think, or maybe biennial actually. So I think if we said in the month prior to the board meeting, that's still a schedule. It's just a less frequent schedule than we currently have.
it just seems like it's redundant to have one 2 months before the board meeting, then have another one the month before the board meeting. If there's agenda items, everybody's open to be able to supply those to Shannon or to Dr. Quarles during the quarter. So we can save those up and talk about them at this meeting the month before the board.
Right.
So I will do my best to try to make some of those edits to the bylaws and see if we can get those on the agenda for September. But I'm not gonna make any promises.
Well, that's okay. I
But
mean,
we
I just
can
think
move
it's
it
something that we need to,
Mhm.
there is no sense in having a meeting because we have to have a meeting. If the meeting has no substance, it's a waste of time for all of us. So I mean, that's my feeling. Please, if anybody thinks otherwise, apparently, Brianna, you think the same reason. Why are we having a meeting?
Yeah,
To talk
well,
about
and I
something?
think I think Chair Martin, it would be a great efficiency, right? I mean, we're in the business of efficiency. So I think that, efficiency for the appointed and the elected members of this board, I think that especially the people who are assigned to policy and planning, I think a little bit more flexibility in that bylaw would be very helpful.
So what I might do is also follow up with the audit committee and see if there need to be any changes to their schedule as well, and see if we can knock those out in the same revision to the bylaws. And we meet in the next couple of weeks, I believe.
The 29th.
Mhm.
Okay,
Chair Martin, if you'll allow me a question.
of course.
Chelsea, we were using that, I'm sure that you're familiar with it. We were using that kind of the Teams work group to kind of revise policies at some point. I mean, is that something that we could kind of maybe perhaps help you with? To kind of
Yes, so we
expedite
will
that process?
we will post it there as soon as we get it. And that way we may be able to speed up the approval process.
Okay, thank you.
Good.
Anything else in regards to the agenda? Anything we should add or highlight or anything?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, as you all know, and I'll cover this with updates in a second, but specifically for the agenda, I think that it'd be a good time for the Board of Regents to have a focused discussion on the future makeup of the Board of Regents. And so what we're going to do is start supplying the Board of Regents with examples of what other states, what their Board of Regents look like, or trustees. And we're going to be sending that out to you via email, just some other ideas of how the makeup looks like, so that we would encourage you all to spend the next couple of weeks thinking about options or questions and who might, if there's specific industries or other areas that maybe should have a seat on the KCTCS board, be thinking about that so we could have a focused discussion on that. And if you don't mind, I think that either we could cover that during the SJR update on the agenda, or if we want that to be a separate item, but I think it would perfectly fit underneath the SJR update. But I would just want to challenge the Regent members to be thinking about what the future makeup should look like.
Okay, and I think the SJR report would be a good place for all those 5 committees to have their recommendations and follow-ups, updates and stuff. And has everybody been kind of getting updates about their committees that they belong to? Okay,
Yeah, Dr.
good.
Quarles has
Should
shared
be,
them
yeah.
with the board.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Anything else, Dr. Quarles?
Not on the agenda, but just has some other update items for later in this meeting.
Yes. Anything else in regards to the agenda?
sorry to keep asking questions. Dr. Quarles, I think it would be really helpful, if possible, to maybe kind of start creating a glossary of terms and how some of the things in the reports are identified. I'm very fortunate to have two members of two different buckets on my campus, and so I will run to them or ask a clarifying question on a term. I think it just perhaps would be really helpful to all the board members. I know it would be to me, to know some of these terms that we're throwing around, not throwing around, that we are, basing our research off of. And I just think it would be, I know it'd be beneficial to me, so I'd appreciate that.
That's a timely comment because Phil Neal, his work group is already starting a glossary of terms when it comes to budget issues. So we're happy to add that. Yep. Okay.
Okay. Dr. Quarles, what other items would you have?
If you don't mind, if it pleases the committee, first off, some celebrations. So welcome our new regents. Appreciate your all's participation. And again, orientation that first day of day 1 of 2 at the board meeting in Henderson. It's going to be great. Also want to say congratulations to Regent Witten. I think today marks her 16th year with KCTCS because I saw it on LinkedIn this morning. So congratulations on that. Also, another celebration is that we have named an interim for South Central Community Technical College, internal candidate, current member of the cabinet, Dr. Brooke Justice. So she'll be joining us with PLT. So we're excited for her. I'm keeping in touch with Dr. Brand and Dr. Jackson as well on a regular basis as they enter the fall semester. A couple other things. This week we met with the new Commissioner of Education, Dr. Fletcher, newly appointed. Chair Martin was there at the system office today, got to meet him as well. I expect us to have a lot of collaboration with our K-12 community. And also keep in mind that President Pate was recently appointed by the governor on the Board of Education. So I think it's incredible for us to have that. And to be honest with you, it might be worth considering having a K-12 person on our board, but that's a discussion and decision that you all can make later this year. We're going to be at the state fair. I'll be there tomorrow. We're going to be recruiting there for the first time in a collaborative multi-college effort, and we're actually establishing a new scholarship, one that's technical based and one that's academic based for 4-Hers and FFAers. And so it's going to be great. And if you happen to go to Louisville, we will have a KCTCS booth up. And if you want to stop by, please let us know. Next week, I'm meeting with the president of the University of Louisville so we can get that transfer and partnership agreement rolling. I know that our team and Shannon and others have been working on that. So UK was first a couple months ago. U of L hopefully is next, and then Western. So we're just going to cascade the renewal of our partnership agreements. And several of you here were there as we signed a new employee benefit with Morehead State University with Dr. Morgan. So hopefully people take advantage of this, what I think is a very generous tuition discount that hopefully people across the system can use. You'll get this report at the next meeting, but we're doing a lot of work with our foundation right now. Dr. Stith is doing tremendous work trying to get our foundation stabilized and also a plan moving forward. So if you see her, give her a nice compliment. She's working very hard, as are all of our employees. The last thing I have is that we talked a lot about Senate Joint Resolution 179. Well, don't forget, there's 2 other SJRs out there. One has to do with, it's more CP oriented about how the other R1s and regionals hopefully will have some direction on what programs they can offer or maybe not offer. But the one that's most relevant to us is Senate Joint Resolution 132 about the future of hazard. Myself, Shannon, and Chair Martin were invited to give our perspectives to Ernst & Young about this. And I do think that maybe as soon as next month, there might be some early indications about what they might be recommending. So it's very important for us to know what direction they're looking so that our outcomes don't directly conflict. So we're all kind of singing from the same hymnal, I guess you could say. And so if you have any questions about hazard, just just know that we are involved. Our perspective is being solicited, and hopefully we can have some direction about which way they're going to go. That's all I've got for right now. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Well, if we don't have any questions, are you sure? That's it? Want to make sure everybody has ample opportunity to have input. So if no more questions or recommendations, our next meeting will be at the board at Henderson on the 19th and 20th. Is that right?
Yes.
Of September. I guess who needs to attend the at 8:30, Dr. Quarles?
Shannon.
That will be the 2 new student regents, Regent Sutherland, and then the new staff regent that will be elected on September the 10th.
Okay. Good deal.
Yep.
Okay. If there is no other business, I'd like to have a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Oh, Keith beat me to it.
Okay. We have a motion and a second.
Second.
Parliamentarian Young.
Real quickly, Lauren, did you have a question?
Yes and no. I was wondering if during orientation we would learn about the SJR with the numbers on it.
We're happy to do that. Happy to do
Perfect.
that. Great question.
I could remember the numbers because of 179 tax expense on your tax returns. So that's the easy way for me to remember it. That's the only way I can. So.
Okay, we had a motion and a second, so we can do this by consensus. Are there any objections to adjourning? Okay, motion passes. Thank you.
Hey, thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank
Have a
you.
good
Good
day.
luck with school starting back. Have fun.
Thanks.
Excited to
Thank
have
you.
the students back.
Thank you. Good to see everybody.
Shannon.